Yeah, I know. Okay, so we are live. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Tina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah. We were busy chit-chatting away, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock. We have to get on.
I said we should have just continued our conversation.
Yeah, but people would be like, what? Like, when you join in, it's like it might not make sense because they weren't there at the beginning.
Yeah, now I don't even know what we were talking about. I've
Yeah, I don't know.
forgotten.
Yeah, we'll
Tuning in. I've
continue
got
later.
my alert. Yes, we'll continue later.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay, so
welcome.
I'm
Yeah,
on Facebook now.
yeah. So welcome everyone if you're joining us live. And if not, if you're watching the recording, thank you for listening. So today's subject, we want to do something a bit fun, maybe a little bit lighthearted. It's, some things that we might bring up, it's not, you don't have to take it seriously, right? Like it can be, whatever you feel like, yeah, either you believe or you don't, or it's funny or it's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
take
Can
however
be
you
for.
want to take.
Yes, yes.
So we thought, because it's Halloween, it's a full moon. Some areas are changing their clocks,
Yeah,
and so it's a lot of things happening. And so we thought, well,
yeah,
how about saint signs and superstitions?
yes.
Yeah,
My three favorite subjects, anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
So I mean, yeah, and we'll we'll share some of our favorites, and if you guys want to join the conversation in our chat room, please do, and you can ask questions, or if you want to share any of your favorites, we would love that. We welcome what you want to say.
Yes.
And I guess before we go further, because I made myself a note, I want to, this is probably like, I don't know, the third or fourth time I'm expressing this. But I want everyone just to be aware on Halloween to be careful of not overindulging, because I keep getting like the stomach area being issue, like people like maybe eating too much candy or eating too much food or over drinking, or if you're one that's thinking like, oh, I want to do a drug because there might be a
Yeah.
party or something, just be aware of not overindulging, because I just feel like people aren't going to feel well, or they might fall sick. Nothing serious, but it's just like, no one likes to vomit.
Yeah.
And
This is
that's
what
what
you're
comes
seeing?
up. This is what, yeah. And it's like, oh,
Oh,
and
Lord.
especially if it's,
Okay.
and I'm thinking like of the little kids, it's like, oh, the poor little ones, please,
Yeah.
just, yeah, like maybe
Yeah.
just give them a few things, and it's like the rest, hide the rest or something. Yeah. So just be
Yeah.
aware of that. Even the adults, be aware of, like, I just get a sense too, there might be a few, it's like, oh, they're going to want to really party and they're not used to partying that way. And it might
Yes.
be too much on their system and they're going to get sick. You see what I mean? It's like
Yes, I
that.
do.
And it's
Yes.
like, okay, so I just want people just to be aware, and it's like, take your time or take it easy that night if you're going to celebrate or do anything.
Good
Because Halloween's on a
advice for
Saturday.
any time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello to
Yeah.
Patty, who just signed on. Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to put the chat room up here. Oh, yes. Patty.
See?
Oh, hello, Patty. I haven't heard from her for a while.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. So what should we cover first? Should we do like,
well, yeah, maybe since it's Halloween and also the
okay.
full moon too. So we've got this full moon in on Halloween in Taurus.
Yeah.
So that's kind of exciting, and there's a lot of astrological stuff going on too. I was listening to some of the other readers talk about that too. Mercury
Yeah.
retrograde is returning into Libra. I think like something's happening in Libra. I don't know exactly what, but Libra is all about relationships though, and with the full moon, you have to look at the moon card, and we've got all our intentions going into this full moon too. So that's what
Wow.
I'll be doing on Halloween is my moon potions, and
Right.
it's
Do you want
kind
to
of
talk about that?
superstitious.
Because it's
Well,
superstitious. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
ritual, right? Like
It's a
superstitions.
ritual, exactly.
Yeah. And I
Yes,
think,
yeah,
some people, say like, oh, superstitions are for, the weak, or, why do you believe it? But I feel like everyone has a superstition, whether they admit it or not.
oh
Right.
yeah, Oh
Hmm.
yeah, I would say so. You have these
Yeah.
beliefs that you know, it's kind of silly. I mean, there's
Right.
big ones that you know of, like the salt and ladders and black cats. And
Hmm.
so if you look at the history of where those come from, though, it's always from those, you and I were talking about this, from the Salem witches, and, you know, all the things they had to really hide of who they were, these women. My God, the oppression of these women has been, oppression of women in general has been insane. But we've had to really fight and overcome to be strong and progress, you know, with these
Yeah.
beliefs and rituals and superstitions that we know to be, make us feel better. You know, what more is a ritual than to make you feel better
Yeah.
about things?
Well,
So,
and I find too, like a lot of the superstitions, there's a reason why they came
oh
about.
yeah.
Like there's a reason, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
logical or not, right? So,
Yes. Yeah.
um,
There's
and
always
I
that
mean,
root cause.
yeah, and we kind of went off track here with your moon potion. We'll get to that in a
Yes.
minute. So I grew up, I don't know about you, but I grew up in, especially my mom's side of the family. So my mom's side, French Canadian, very, very superstitious,
Yeah.
very superstitious, the family. So I mean, I grew up, so it was like almost, I want to say it's normal occurrence to hear the family like doing this or doing that because it's a
Mm-hmm.
superstition, right?
Yeah.
And there's some superstitions that it was like, I don't know where they came from. And I want to say they were probably passed down generation to generation, right? And
No
like
doubt.
even me, like even I have a lot of those superstitions,
Yes.
you
Me
know,
too.
to this day that I
Yeah.
follow and believe in, right? So
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you go with your moon. So it's those who are,
Okay.
I've tried this once and I don't know, maybe I gave up too easily, but it's like it didn't work. Didn't work for me. But you go
Well,
ahead. You share. Yeah.
yeah. I love the moon potion because the ritual of it. See, it's all about the ritual for me anyway, because it's my form of prayer. It's my form of meditation. So it's just a way to connect to spirit and and focus for a minute. You know, focus on
Yeah.
what do I want here. It gives you just some focus time to what am I wanting here? What is my intent? Sometimes that's the hardest thing of all, right? To
Yeah.
figure out what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once you do figure out what you want, and you don't have to do it all in one potion either. There's many, many moons. See, I got caught in this too, where I was doing too many intents in one sitting, you know,
Right.
and you
So
get
how
sidetracked and
so
unfocused. Yes.
so what is the moon potion you do it on a full moon, right? On the
So
day
I
of the
do
full
it
moon?
on the day of the full moon. I always do it on the day of the full moon instead of trying to prepare earlier, because energy changes rapidly, as we all know. So you want to be fresh in your intent and what you want, and it's always goodwill for me for something to come into my life, some kind of good, you know, abundance of some kind. And I just use a little mason jar. I use a little 4 ounce mason jar,
Okay.
and I cleanse it with energy helpful things too. So I have my selenite wand too as well, and I always cleanse, and I wash it out with organic soap too. So just try not to use too many chemicals, just because you're going to be drinking this water in the future.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
then you fill it with purified water,
And make sure it
and
doesn't
then
smell like pickle juice.
yeah, right, yeah, sterilize your jars.
I
I
think that's
take
why
no
it didn't.
responsibility.
I think that's why mine didn't work because it was like, oh, this smells like pickle juice. It still has that smell, and I'm drinking it. And it's like, oh,
Right.
this is so
That's
gross.
not a good jar. Don't drink that.
So it's like,
Don't
no,
drink that.
really, yeah, really clean out the jar and let it air
Yeah,
dry and be free of all
yeah,
smells.
exactly. If it smells like pickles, you've gone wrong. So,
Yes.
and then that's where my crystals come into play too. Crystals for different intents. You can always Google what crystals are, you know, better for what. But the crystals are what's holding your intent in here and into this moon water. So if they're, you want to make sure they're not water soluble, so where they're leaked out, the stones that you do have, the crystals that you do have, but you can put them into your jar, and then you fill it with water, and you set this out in under the full moon, so that it's under the rays too, in an open area where the moon can really hit it. And then you set it out just before the moonrise, you know, right at moonrise, and then bring it in right before the sun rises too. So you have to get up a little bit earlier there too, and put it right into the refrigerator. And then there's
Oh,
your moon potion. So you get the experience of the intent that night with the full moon and your intentions. And then on a new moon, or a start to things, it's a great time to do another ritual, maybe a candle ritual or something like that, and drink the potion, and then you've got your intent again.
so when do you drink it? Like after the new moon, or so many
That would
days?
be
You
on
have
the
to count.
night as well. So on the night of the new moon, is one way. You can drink it even that next day, the moon potion, and then you sleep with your crystals under your pillow for 3 nights. So
Okay.
that fulfills that intent.
So you pick a crystal you like, and
Mm-hmm.
you put it in the mason jar, and you cover the crystal with water,
Mm-hmm.
and then you do
I fill
your.
the jar to the top.
Oh,
Fill
you
the
fill
jar
it all
to
the
the
way to the
top.
top. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then you put it outside under the full moon, and that's when you say your prayer or your intentions or your wishes, right?
Yes.
And you leave
Right.
it
And you
there overnight.
do that while you're cleansing the jar, while you're cleansing your crystals, while you're
Mm,
always thinking this higher thought as you're doing all of this as part of the ritual. You make it a true ritual, and that's part of it.
okay, okay. And then you leave it under the full moon that night, and then when you bring it in, you said you put it in your fridge and you drink it later that day, or it doesn't
I
matter.
leave I leave it in my fridge because I usually have a couple in there at any given time with different ones. And then, but if I'm wanting something, if I'm wanting to have a certain day or an outcome, I'm going for something in this election here. So we've done a lot of rituals on this election,
Okay,
which a lot of the Wiccan groups on Facebook are doing as well. It's a huge community on Facebook that I love, by the way. So my
right.
Aunt Joy sends me all these little memes from there. But yeah, so that's when you would do that. You would drink that water, put your crystals under your pillow for 3 nights that you had in the potion water, and there's
And
that
then
ritual.
and there's that. Yeah. Wow.
Yes,
Voila.
yes, voila. And I recently just learned this. It's not like something I've been doing my entire life by any means. So you can always,
Right.
I'm always interested in new
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
yeah, so
interesting.
that's my moon potion.
Okay. There you go. Full moon and new moon.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to try that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah. And I guess if you missed the instructions, and if you want, like, let's say them written out for you, just email me or message me or email Julie, and we'll send that out to you. We'd be happy to send that
Yes.
out in written form.
Absolutely. Hi to my
Yeah.
friend Chrissy. I see you there. Hello.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to put this book up. Can everybody,
Oh, what do you have?
I don't know if the light, okay. So this is like, it's called A Dictionary of Superstitions. That's
Love
the
it.
title. And this is well used because like the binding's coming off, but this is like probably the best book out there, like that I know of, because I've had this for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
My mom had one too. And it's written by French people. But this is all in English, but this is like an encyclopedia of different superstitions. Like this is
How?
amazing. And some of them are really
Yeah.
funny. So it's really, I find like it's an interesting book, like to look up things. Like if you're wondering,
Yeah.
like, and then they break it down in categories. So like there's a chapter on objects. There's a chapter on like special days, like on the calendar, and there's
Oh, I love it.
superstitions to that. Yeah. Chapter on the body, yeah, animals. Like it's
Oh, that's
just
great.
unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. From my understanding, this is a hard to come by book though.
Yeah.
So if anybody, again, if you're wanting to know the title and the author, because if you can't quite make it out on screen here, just send me a message or email me. And yeah, I'll be happy to give you the information. So as far as I know, it's hard to come by book, so it might be pricey. Like, how some books you can get them for $20 or less.
Yeah.
I think this one might be a lot more than that because it's not
It's out
like
of print, no
mass
doubt.
produced,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, or hard to come by. Yeah.
Maybe.
So anyway, that
Wow.
was that. Yeah.
Well, did you learn? My mother-in-law could have written a book. Rose Palella could have written a book on superstition.
Oh,
She had the greatest superstitions I've ever heard. She had things like she couldn't you couldn't get a knife from you had to pay someone if they gave you a knife. Things like this. Like, oh, they were wonderful. They were just
yeah.
fantastic. I loved
Well,
them.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
yes, I remember that one too. And that one I still do to this day. And I
me
tell
too.
people, but ours was like anything that cuts. So it doesn't matter if it's a knife, it could be scissors, it could be nail clippers. So like if someone gives you like, let's say a nail pedicure or manicure set and there's nail
Yeah.
clippers in
Yes.
it, or this little
That's
scissors.
how we are.
So anything that can
Yeah.
cut, if anybody
Yes.
gives you that, you're supposed to give them at least, I was told, a
A
quarter.
penny. Oh, my mother-in-law said a penny, but it
Okay.
just had to be some kind of monetary amount that you were
Yeah, so it
buying
had to be a
this knife.
coin.
You
Yeah,
weren't.
so it has to be a
Yeah.
coin. Yeah, and it's to like because they said it cuts the relationship if you don't.
Oh, is
Like
that why? I never knew
that's
why.
why. Yeah, so that's
Oh,
why.
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
The other thing I want to share is like okay, um this has to do with like brooms. So you know how
Yes.
most people they own a broom, and let's say if you move homes, I don't care if it's
Yeah.
renting or you bought, you're not never supposed to bring the broom from your old house into your new house
Oh, really?
because
I
the
didn't
broom
know
is
that.
about yeah, so the broom is about
Cleaning
cleaning
up.
up, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to bring the mess from your previous home into your new home.
Oh,
So
I
that's
never knew
yeah,
that one.
so
That's a good
yeah.
idea.
So I know there was one time I was moving like every 6 months or something, and it's like
Yeah.
buying a new broom each time is like, I'm not buying a broom for.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What was another one? I'm trying to think. That is very.
What are
I
other
guess.
people's superstitions? What do you guys have? I would love to hear superstitions
Oh,
from others.
there's a few I wrote down about Halloween
Yeah.
that I didn't know.
Oh, what? Like what?
So this one might be fun. So like the game. So a lot of the Halloween traditions, that we do nowadays are from the Irish. It's from
Oh,
Ireland.
yes.
And
Halloween
I
is a
didn't
very
know
Celtic
that.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're the ones that started like, with the carving, like they didn't start with pumpkins. They used turnips. And it's
Oh,
because their
yeah.
superstition was like to help guide the lost souls that night.
Yeah.
So the souls
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
hang around in their place or stop at their home. Like
yes.
the soul would be like, oh, not at this home. They would move on down the road,
Yeah.
right, to find their home. So, and
Yes.
it became pumpkins because in the States, it was at the time, it was like turnips were not easily available or not, around as much, but pumpkins were. So
Wow.
that's how it became pumpkin. I thought that
Wow.
was interesting.
That's
Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
This one, so any ladies out there or guys that are single, and if you're curious about, who's my future love, what's that person going to be or look like? So if you do apple bobbing, happen to do any apple
Yes.
bobbing on Halloween, keep your apple,
Yes.
don't eat it, and put it under
Yeah.
your pillow because you're supposed to dream about your future love.
I read that. I read that they put in before like the 1800s, 1900s or something, they would put names on the apples and the girls would bob for them. And that's who they were going to have a dream about or that night. Cause like
Oh,
that was
okay.
the tradition. Yeah. I was just reading about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another matchmaking thing. See, all of these rituals, this is what I was
Mm,
just talking to Tina about.
right.
Most of
Yeah.
these rituals go back to matchmaking, which is interesting to me because I was thinking about this. Why? Why would all of these spells and all of these, ritualistic things go back to matchmaking? Why do women want to partner up more than men? Is that a natural need to do so? I didn't think so, but of course they wanted to get married because women have not had a voice and they had to speak through their husbands. They were not. Look at Madame Curie, the inventor of radiation, and that her husband had to reject the Nobel Prize because she had earned that and they wanted to give it to him on her behalf. And I thought, my God, that's why they were all wanting to get married and they didn't have a voice, the
Yeah.
oppression. The oppression, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
but but maybe women are nurturers, and of course we are, the matchmakers ourselves. So we're always looking for love. So there is
Yeah.
that too.
Right. And that ties in with kind of like Halloween too, because like Halloween, it has to do with something completely different, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's like it's a lot of it's related to witches and witchcraft, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this too. It's like, back in the day, it's like, well, if somebody came across a woman and she was like single, but she was very strong in who
Yeah.
she was and strong in the life she was living, and independent, and smart, intelligent, like just new things, like a lot of the men
Terrifying.
looked down, yeah, like that was a
Yeah.
threat to them. So they were
They were
accused,
fearful of their power.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
they were accused of being a witch, and
Yes.
you know and
Yeah.
burnt at the stake, or whatever
Yeah.
they did, right?
Yes. Yes. Well, a strong woman is a weak man's worst nightmare. Really, I've been married 34 years, and you can be a strong woman in a relationship. You really can. You can have your own voice. It's much easier today than it was then, but it's just the battles we've had to fight throughout the ages. But All Hallows Eve really is the night before All Saints Day, is kind of how it started. The Celtic tradition of Halloween, and the
Hmm.
saints. So there are so
Yeah.
many different meanings to Halloween, and these connotations of what
Yeah. See,
what
and
it
that's how
is.
it
Yeah,
and that's how it ties in with the saints and signs, because
that's
they
right. That's
all
right.
they all they all intertwine. I think they
They all
all
intertwine.
connect. Yeah.
And
So
Patty's talking about the shoes on the table bringing bad luck. I've always heard that too, but I have no idea
yeah.
where that originated from either.
Yeah, I don't know where
Shoes on the
that came
table.
from either, but I've had that one.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I want to say that was, oh, okay. I remember this. So I don't know where this came from, and I don't know if anyone else out there knows of this superstition, but when you get dressed in the morning, and
Yeah.
if you happen to put an item of clothing on inside out or
Yeah.
backwards, like the tags in the front instead of
Yes.
in the back. So I
Yes.
mean, it happens, right?
Of course. Yes. Especially as I
So
age.
so when my mom would do that, if I was around, she would call me into her, like she would call me over,
Yeah.
and I would, and and it didn't matter if I was in the same house or not, right? But if I
Yeah.
was around, and she'd be like kind of in a panic, like, you have to come here as soon as possible and help me with, and she wouldn't say what it was, and I'd get there and she'd be like, I'd have to take off that article of clothing for her
Yeah.
and put it back on the proper way, because
Really?
the superstition was, if you put something on backwards or inside out, you're not supposed to take it off yourself. You're supposed to get someone else, because otherwise it'll be bad luck that day. You'll have bad
Oh
luck
my
that day
God.
if you
That's
fix it
funny.
yourself. So there was that. And my mom wasn't shy about,
Letting
and
you
the other
know.
thing too was, so um, those who wear mitts or gloves, right? And I know in Canada, a
Yes.
lot of us do, because we get winter. So my mom, she didn't care if it was a stranger or not. Okay. If she
Yeah.
dropped one glove or one mitt, it could just been one, or if it was both, she'd stop somebody and say, can you please pick up my mitt or her glove for her and give it to her?
Yeah.
Because again, it was like, if you picked it up yourself, you were going to have an argument with someone that day.
Yeah.
So, so you see how superstitious she
Yeah.
was? Like, she would like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. That's kind of how my mother-in-law was. If you were doing the dishes and you dropped a certain utensil, you were
Yes,
like, oh my God, somebody was going to show up. Somebody was going to,
yes.
I don't know.
I remember
It
that
meant
one. Yes.
something.
So very similar. So it must be a
Yeah.
European thing. A lot of the
Must be.
superstitions must be from
Must be.
Europe. Yeah,
Yeah.
because she was
Yeah.
Italian. Um,
And I think superstition, I think the word superstition really does go hand in hand with the word ritual, because they are kind of interchangeable, right? Anything you're doing every day for some reason is kind of a ritual for yourself. You know what I mean? And I guess
yeah,
superstition is just really believing if you do something, something will happen, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, you know, it's not always about bad luck, but it, you know, it
right.
creates, or it's because you have this belief, it creates good luck or
Oh, that's
well-being.
right. That's how I
And
am.
and there's,
I
you know, there's no
right.
harm. There's no harm in
Right?
that, right? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We're Glenda the good witch, not
Yeah. I want to
not the evil.
share, I want to share, this is interesting, and um it has to do with birth.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people know. So, like, you know, when you're born, you know how some people, they might have still the, was it the afterbirth on them? What do you
Yeah.
call that? Do you know what I
Afterbirth.
mean? Like
Yeah. With
the,
the
like, you know
placenta.
how the placenta, because I guess, you know, if it's
Yeah.
not cleaned properly or disposed of properly, right? Or,
Right.
you know, or like born with the forceps,
Oh,
like, you know, or
yes.
like, you know, like they need the
Yes.
forceps to take the baby
Yeah.
out, and like, you know, they have the marks on them.
Yes.
So um when I
Where
was
in
born,
God's
I,
name are you going with this?
okay, because I know I'm kind of all over the place with this. So anyways, because this one, I feel it's a superstition and it was true for me. So when
Yeah.
I was born, I didn't want to come out, apparently. So they had to use the forceps to get me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And apparently, if a child is born with forceps marks, you know, born that way, apparently that child will travel a lot and live on at least two continents in their lifetime.
Really? Oh, that's
And that was
interesting.
true for me.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't know that. It
Wow.
wasn't planned. Like, I didn't think like, oh yeah, like I'm going to go
Yeah.
live on another continent when I'm in my 20s, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it did happen. Like I
Well,
lived,
when did you learn of this superstition, after your travels or before?
um you know, that's a good question. I think probably during the time, but it's like, oh, I didn't really
Yeah.
pay attention to it because
Yeah.
it's like, you know,
Yeah.
am I going to live
Right.
on another at the time I thought, no, I'm never going
Yeah.
to
It was
live on another
meaningless.
continent. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it came to be. So I thought, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody out there listening, if they've had this, if they know of, like, if they were born with forceps, it'd be interesting to know if they've had that similar
Yeah.
experience. And I don't know where
Right.
that came from. It was in
That's
my
interesting.
dictionary book. That's where I got
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if is there any other superstitions you want to go over
Any
or
other
curious about? I
superstitions?
guess, you know, one I want to bring up because this is very upsetting to me.
Oh,
You love cats. I love
I had
cats.
my
I'm sure a lot
Bobo.
of people out there
Yes.
love cats. I am tired of black cats getting such a bad rap,
Oh my God. My
especially
favorite
around
pet in the world was
Halloween.
Black Cat. Yes.
Mhm.
He was
I
my
had
good
a
luck
black,
charm.
yeah, I
Yes.
was going to say too, yes, black cats,
Yeah.
you know, I know some people believe they're bad luck. And you know what? I had a black cat, and she, I think, was my good luck charm. I loved
Oh,
her.
yeah.
She was,
Yeah.
oh, she was my baby.
That
And
was my Bobo. Yeah.
yeah, she's passed away for quite a while. And, you know, I do miss her, but
Yeah.
it's interesting because this past week I've dreamt of her twice.
Really?
And
Oh,
it's
I
like
haven't
really
dreamt of
real,
her.
like, and it's like, you know, I'm cuddling with her, and yeah, like it's so real. Like I
Yeah.
wake up and it's like, oh my God, do I ever miss her? And I love her.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. That's my, that's
Oh,
her, Zoe. And there she is beside like a little pumpkin leaf
she
bed.
looks just like my Bobo. We had a black cat when Rosalind was born, named Bobo, and every Halloween we loved this cat, all three of us. And she was 22 when we had to put him down, and the three
Oh
of us went
wow.
there. It was such a moment for the three of us. It was. Well, I'll
That's a
never
long,
forget it.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
anyways, I think
yeah.
black cats are lucky, and I think we need to get the word out. And
Yes.
if you're thinking of adopting a cat, get a black one. Maybe they're good luck.
Yes.
They're
Black
comical too.
cats
They
matter.
have really.
Yes.
It's like they've got this, personality. Like they like to dare. Like I don't know if
Yeah.
yours was adventurous. Mine was quite adventurous. Like some of her nickname was Monkey because it's like the things she got into. It's like it was
Yeah.
funny, like unbelievable. So yeah.
Very. He was the most spiritual being I've ever experienced in my life. Bobo would literally come hold your hand after every surgery. He wouldn't leave your side. Michael had surgery one time in his 20s, and that cat literally held his hand for 3 days. I had to lift him up off of Michael to get him to even go outside and eat.
Wow.
He was amazing. He was a guide for us. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're black cats. I think they're wonderful, and I'm just trying to, black cats started getting a bad rap when it was like the time of the witch hunt, or when like that
Yeah.
era of like
I
labeling
read
women.
why.
Oh,
Because they
yeah,
thought the witches were transferring their spirits, their souls into the black cats, because the black cats would show up after the witches were burned at the stake, and they thought those were still the witches around. I don't know why the black cats would show up then, or maybe they were just observing, seeing
yeah.
them for
Wow, there you
making something
go.
they weren't. But
See,
that's why,
yeah.
yeah,
See, there's always a reason why they show up, these superstitions,
right,
always. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Forever. I don't know what a forever baby means. I've never heard of that term. Have you?
Yeah, no, I
I don't
haven't.
know,
Is that?
Pat. Sorry, Patty. I don't know if that's referring to the forceps. Is that what that means? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm going to say it is because,
Yeah,
she's saying so
maybe.
far not true for him. He's still young.
He's still
So,
very young.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he hasn't traveled or lived on another continent, we never know.
Right. You never know, right?
Oh, and
Yeah,
Patty,
it's never
she's
too late.
taken in 3 black cats. Oh,
Oh,
good
good
for
for
you,
you. I
Patty.
bet you love them.
Yeah. There. That's
Yes. Oh,
lovely.
yes, with the forceps too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah. So
good,
she said, there
Tina.
you go. I know. Yeah.
Good for you. So
Yeah.
yeah, and souls too. It does, or saints. It does bring us back to the saints and All Saints
Mm.
Day. I was just reading about that too, and how that kind of, so they were, the saints were passing through. The veil was so thin on Samhain, the end of harvest
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the coming into dark times too, in winter. So there was a lot of tradition behind, some of the superstitions and rituals was surviving the winter. The winter were dark times too. So
Mm.
so they would dress up with, costumes too, to ward off these souls who were so close to us, trying to get to the other side. So they would give treats and dishes outside to assist them and tell them, not here, don't come in here.
Yeah.
and wear costumes to try to trick the souls who were passing through,
Yes.
because
Yes.
the
I read
veil is
that.
very thin. Yeah, right.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting, eh? So,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
should we talk about the saints a bit?
sure, of
Yeah.
course, the
Yeah.
saints are always welcome.
Yeah. So, um, I didn't ask you, I don't think, or did we ever talk about it? Like if you grew up in a certain
We
religion.
never really talked about it, but I grew up in the Mormon religion, in
Oh,
the Latter Day Saint religion. My grandmother was and my aunts, a lot of my aunts, and my mom grew up Mormon, but left the church when she got married, pretty much. But she
okay.
still, we grew up a lot of our, years, about 7 years, I think, in Salt Lake City, Utah, where there was a big Mormon
Yeah.
base. So we went to seminary and things like that, the four of us growing up, but it was never a big part of our life. I just,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, but I'm familiar. And Michael is Catholic. So,
Okay, there you go. Because I
mhm.
grew up Catholic too,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
saints are huge with the Catholic religion.
yes, I know. I love
Yeah. There's a
that.
saint. Yeah. So there's
Yeah,
again my mom's side of the family.
yeah, right.
And we went to Catholics. My brother and I, we went to Catholic school all our lives, right? And the saints
Yeah,
is part of the Catholic school system. So there's a saint for everything.
Everything. I love that.
Everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
So you don't, I feel with the saints, you don't have to be Catholic or you don't have to be a certain type of religion to pray to the saints. That's me. Like, that's what
Yeah.
I feel. It's just that
Yeah.
with the Catholics, they're knowledgeable. Like, they know, like, if you were to say, like, oh, blah, blah, this is happening in my life, a Catholic. And if you ask a Catholic, they'll be like, pray to this saint. They'll help you. Like,
Yes.
and they're like bounded to someone. They're like, yeah, they believe
I
like
love
that
it.
saint will help you no matter what, right?
Yes, I believe it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to share, because I have like so many stories, but one that I want to share because it's close to my heart was, so my brother, when he was born cross-eyed,
Yeah.
and he had vision problems, but it wasn't detected right away. It was my mom that noticed that he had trouble seeing and like things weren't clear in his world. And so in the meantime, while my mom was trying to figure out like if there's a doctor that would help my brother, because my brother was like young, he was like a year, maybe, like,
Yeah.
tiny. And at the time, so this is in the 70s. So at the time, there weren't many doctors who would treat or specialized in child eye care.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, while my mom's looking for, a medical solution, she's telling her family, and like, they're like, okay, there's a saint for this.
Of course.
So my great aunt sent my mom, like, and a lot of if you go to some of the Catholic, I don't know, all of them do, but some Catholic churches, or, they have gift shops. So they
Yeah.
will have like prayer cards, and there'll be a prayer card for every saint. And there'll be a
Yeah.
medallions for every saint too.
Yeah.
So my great aunt sent my mom a prayer card, and she said, put this in underneath his mattress in his crib.
Yeah.
And so it was this.
Oh, Tina, I love this story.
And
Okay.
my mom believed that led to the solution to find the doctor, and led to the
Yeah.
solution to my brother, like, not going blind, because there was that fear of my brother going blind at
Yes.
such a young age.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so, that's one of the reasons why I have faith in it. The other personal story I want to share is, can you guys see that? Whoops. Little
It's like a coin of some
medallion
kind.
thing.
A medallion.
It kind
Yes.
of looks like a little
It's
globe.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's a Saint Christopher, and this belonged to my dad.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is over 50 years old. So when my parents got married, my mom didn't trust my dad's driving. So she was like, I got to get a
St.
Saint
Christopher.
Christopher for the car. So we're safe. So my mom like made my dad put this in every car he's ever owned. And then when my
Yeah.
dad stopped driving because he got ill, this
Yeah.
got passed down to me, and I
Oh,
took it out of my car, but it's like I wanted to show. So I
I
truly
love it.
believe it's not that I've never been in an accident, but it's like if I was, it was very minor, like no one got. And that's the whole purpose of Saint Christopher. It's to keep you safe
While driving.
in your travels. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if anyone's
Or
like,
traveling. Yeah.
yeah. So if anyone's wondering, like, if you're like scared of driving in your car, and
Yeah.
especially like I know, like in the winters or different seasons, people they get more fearful. It's like, well,
Yeah.
try putting a Saint Christopher in
St.
your
Christopher.
car.
Well,
Yeah.
I love that too. And there's so many different saints you can call on for different things, as far as I learned in spirituality later. Like Saint Michael, if you're looking for the truth and a fighter, a spiritual warrior to have your back in times everyone needs that. Saint Michael, is my I love Saint Michael and
Oh, I didn't know
everything.
that one.
I
Okay.
do have the statue of Saint Michael. We've had this forever, Michael. Well, Michael grew up with it. I think his mom had it in his bedroom or something. But it's Saint Michael stepping on the head of the devil with his sword
Okay.
of truth, and he's just got him
Okay.
pinned there. Yeah.
Right.
So, and Saint Raphael for healing. Saint Raphael is known for healing bodily, afflictions, things like that, for healing. So I didn't know that too. I've recently learned that. And I recently learned about Saint Metatron. Have you heard anything about Saint Metatron?
No, no.
I've recently learned about Saint Metatron, who I think had something to do with Enoch. When I wrote novels a different lifetime ago, I did a lot of research on the book of Enoch, and apparently he was a scribe for God, and there were these fallen angels, and Metatron is this spiritual saint who will help you find connection with spirit and become closer with spirit. So I just
Wow,
recently learned that. Yeah, I've been doing some research on Saint
that's
Metatron. I had
nice.
never heard. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say probably my favorite has been St. Jude.
Oh yes, I love Saint Jude too.
So
Yes.
he's the patron saint of lost causes and to
Yes.
bring hope. It's like St.
Yes.
Jude is like one of those saints. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like you can pray to
Right.
him for anything,
Anything. Yes.
anything, anything. Yeah. Um, the other one too that I like, but it's how your prayer is going to be answered is because you'll get a rose. So there's Saint Teresa,
Yeah.
and she's the one that's like um, known as the little flower because there's more than one Saint Teresa. So when you pray to Saint Teresa, the little flower saint, your prayer is going to be answered because you'll receive. Usually they say roses, but I mean, if it's a flower, then
Mm.
your prayer is like it's going to be answered. It's going to come to
Oh, I'll have
be
to look up
within a
Saint
matter of
Teresa.
time. And I like Saint Francis of Assisi. He's the patron saint of animals. So he
Yes.
was the
I have a
one that
Saint Francis
invited,
statue. Yes.
yeah. So, if somebody is like lost a pet,
Yes.
or they have concern for a pet, a lot of times I'll recommend like praying to Saint Francis of Assisi.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that's a good one. The other thing too, I don't know if Michael knows this or this. So I was also taught like when you're praying to the saints, it doesn't matter which one, you're supposed to promise them something when your prayer is answered. Or you're
Oh, I
supposed to
haven't.
promise them something when you're
In
doing
return?
yeah, like in return for them answering your prayer. So it
Well, it
can
must
be
have to
like,
do with Lent, right? Because you're giving up something, so you're promising maybe.
yeah, I don't know why that is. Like, I don't know if it's because it's like they're giving you something, so you're going to give back, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, sometimes it can be money. Like, you can promise like, well, I'm going to make a donation to a charity or to what, or
Yeah.
you're just going to, donate. And it could be like in the store, those boxes and you put money in that. Or
Yeah.
sometimes I know some people, they'll like say, I'll publish your prayer in the paper or thanks in the local paper. So some people will do that. They'll
Yeah.
do like thank you or
Yeah.
yeah, but there's
I've seen
something,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's individual. I think that's personal, how you feel and what you
I
want to give,
I
right?
give gratitude.
Well, that works too. Yeah, yeah,
No, I just
yeah,
never heard. I mean, I'm I'm thinking of Lent, giving up
yeah.
something in return for yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if it's maybe the church's way of receiving money. You see what
Maybe.
I mean? Like the Catholic Church.
That makes sense. That
I
probably
mean,
makes a little more sense.
it's like yeah, if you're
Yeah.
gonna pray to the saint, like you have to
Yeah.
donate money, and like if you do that, I know because that's what my mom did. She would give money
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
the
Mormons are
church.
all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like their
But yeah,
way of.
anytime you're buying a ticket to heaven kind of thing for me, you know what I mean? I'm just not a
Yeah,
big fan of organized religion myself. I can't wrap my head around a man
yeah,
being, yeah, or woman, being on a, my grandma told me when I was very, very young that no one has access to information that you don't have access to. And she
mm,
included spirituality in that as well. I'm not gifted with the tarot cards. I'm just finding ways to open myself up to receiving the messages. But it's it's important to remember that no one has access to information that you don't have access to.
right, right.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, very valid. That's right. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not just for one. That's right. And one more saint I want to do before we
Yes.
go on to the signs. So this again is tied to personal story.
Yes.
So Growing up, so we lived in Western Canada, in Calgary, and every summer we would visit Montreal because that's where my parents were from and all the families there. So, and um, you know, my mom, she would always like have to go to this one particular church, and it's Saint Joseph Church in Montreal, and it's it's on like Mount Royal. So Mount Royal in Montreal, it's a small hill, and this church was
Mm.
built on this hill.
Ooh,
And anyways, it's huge. So
beautiful.
the there was the priest at the time, his name was Andre. He's a saint now. He was made a saint. But anyways, people who were like physically unwell, so like they were in a wheelchair, they used a cane, they used a walker,
Yeah.
and there's no ramps, there's no escalator, no elevator to get here. And because it's on a hill, it's like there's lots of steps. It's an incline. So these
Yeah.
people, like they would walk in with this, device because they're crippled or they're, hurting in pain, physically
Yeah.
disabled in some way. And this priest healed them. Like
Yeah.
they would end up leaving the church walking, like they were perfectly. And they
Yeah.
would leave this church when you go through the halls, because it's a round church, it's circular. So when you go through the halls, there's like all these walkers, all these canes, some wheelchairs, like
Yeah.
just left behind. They're part of the decor. And it's a
Yeah.
testament to him. But
That's
anyways, it's
amazing.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so anyways, this saint, Saint Andre, is like to help with healing, with if you're feeling sick. I just wanted to share that, like, so
In case we eat
um,
too much chocolate.
yeah, yeah, or if you're, yeah, exactly, you pray.
Overindulging.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And just one more
Yeah.
thing, so Patty, that's great, you're sharing so much today, Patty, we
I
love that.
know, Patty. Thank you.
She must like, oh, she likes Saint Michael, and she's got selenite in my car. Yeah, so people, they will put crystals in their car, right? Or they'll have like
Yes.
other,
Yes.
maybe little things that they
Hanging.
hang
Yeah.
from their mirror. Yeah, yeah. Like if
Hmm.
that
I have all kinds of
makes you
things
feel
hanging
safe,
from my mirror.
yeah. I mean, you do
Yeah.
that, right? Yeah. Huh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why not?
So, signs. I don't know
Signs.
how to
Oh,
signs,
yes. My
signs.
number one sign at all time, and you're a master numerologist, so you would know that is numbers.
Oh,
Numbers are a sign to me. Every day I see some number that means something to me, or not yet alone everyone else. So numbers, right?
yes, yes. And I will get asked this time to time because I'm into numerology. A lot of people, they say like, I keep seeing the same number over and over again. And a lot of times it'll
Yep.
be like a sequence number. So like
Yeah.
111 or
Yeah.
333 or right. Or
I,
in the time where I wake up at this time,
yes. Right.
yeah. And, in a way, I know you can Google it. Like there's lots of sites that will explain the meaning of it.
Hmm.
Um, Doreen Virtue, she wrote a book about the number, like angel, I think she called them
Angel
angel
numbers.
numbers,
Yeah.
right?
I
And she had
remember
all
that.
this
Yeah.
from one to whatever. I can't remember how high
Yes.
she went up and
Yeah.
deciphered each number. That's a lot of work. So I
Yeah.
when someone approaches me, like, when they see numbers, like what does that mean? In a way, in a sense, it's kind of hard to give a straight meaning because I feel it's so personal.
I agree with you.
And you
I
can't
agree.
always go by, like, it's great to look up in the book or look up the site for the meaning. Like, I think that's great, like, do that,
Hmm.
but also try to keep track or try to pay attention to what unfolds or how it
Yes.
might connect in you, because I feel it's so personal. And the one
Yeah.
thing that I find, like when you notice like a sequence of numbers or the same number coming up for you over and over again, it stops you, right? Like it's supposed
Hmm.
to, and I think that's part of the energy. It's like to make you stop
Right.
and take notice,
Right.
right? Like, and
Yes,
pay
absolutely.
attention. So it's like, what's going
Pay
on in your
attention.
head?
Yeah.
What's going
Right.
on
What are you
in your head?
listening to? Right.
What's going in your heart? What do you need? And so that's where I feel, and it can be personal in the sense of like, maybe that number's connected to a loved one and that's their
Yeah.
way of reaching out. Or maybe it has to do with um, the actual, let's see, an actual event in your life.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
Pay
yeah,
attention. Yeah. Hey,
because it's
Vicky.
like, because it's
Yes.
not always convenient, or we're not always like a walking encyclopedia of what each number means, right?
Right. It's what it
So it
means to
has to
you
be deep.
because,
That's why I feel it has to be deeper than that. Yeah.
yeah, because whatever happened for you in that moment, like mine has always been the 11s. I see 9/11 and 11/11 and the ones. I see the ones a lot.
Right.
And so it's stop, pay attention. What's something is happening here. Something is happening. So just you have to find out what, it's different probably every time because it is just to stop you and get your attention in that moment.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because it can appear
Yeah.
on bumper stickers, just random places is your number. You have like this personalized number you see.
Yeah. 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 And
1127.
oh, 11,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
that's
Oh, and it's
interesting, right? I haven't seen that one.
most people when they say they see numbers, it's always like the same, like the
Yeah.
digit, repeated over. But yeah, 1120, and it's her birthday.
Yes, look what Becky
1127.
says. Hi, Becky. You're back. She
Oh,
says, right? What did I miss? That's a great question, right, Tina? What did I
yeah.
miss? Yes.
Yeah. But I do,
Yes.
and I know not everyone likes that answer. They want something magical, profound, like, especially when they
Yeah.
ask me into numerology, they say, I see 22 all the time. What does that mean?
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because it's like,
Hi,
truth be
Bob.
told, I hesitate.
Yes, I know.
Because it
Because
feels
it's to
personal.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's yeah, like what Becky says is like, it makes you stop and it's like, okay, what was I thinking? What was I feeling? What's going through me?
Right.
Right. And it's
Right.
like,
Exactly.
because it's like
Yes.
something needs to be, I don't know,
Or maybe a memory.
transformed.
A memory's triggered. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Something needs to be elevated. That's what I think too. Something needs to be elevated. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny, with Patty, because she says it's her birthday. I'm wondering if it's like a sign for her she should celebrate more. Because that's what we
Ah,
do on birthdays, aren't they about celebrating? It's about
of
life.
course.
It's like when we
Yeah.
arrive, ta-da, here we are. And then we're supposed to celebrate that occasion. So I'm wondering if she needs to, and it doesn't mean she goes all out every day and you might not be in the mood, but it could be just something about like, oh, today the sun was out. How beautiful. Like showing, like celebrating,
Right.
like showing appreciation. So maybe that's where I want to go with that. That's what I'm picking up. Why?
Yeah. To celebrate you. Maybe it's just a moment to celebrate you and what you've accomplished in any given moment. You've accomplished
Right.
great things.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's just a
Yes.
moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe think like, are you too hard on yourself, Patty? Like, do you not give yourself enough credit? And, that could be, part of it. So I just feel it has to do with celebrating. Yeah. Oh, and
Yeah.
there she goes.
Oh,
Yes.
she says good.
There you go.
Good,
We'll give
right?
that a try and see what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, I want to talk about, signs. I know what's a good one.
Yes.
That people get a lot. Feathers, right? Don't you think
Yes.
feathers
Oh, all the time. All the
are,
time. I have my elephant full of feathers that I collect. They come from very random places. Yes.
yeah. Oh, and
Angels. Yeah.
one of my clients gifted me with a bunch of owl feathers.
I remember that. They were beautiful. You showed me
Yes, yes,
pictures.
yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so for some reason she didn't want to keep them, and I don't remember why. I'm wondering if it's because she was in the process of moving and she
Yeah.
thought of me and she gifted
Yeah.
them to me. She sent them to me and I was like, that was beautiful. So,
Yes.
yeah, so feathers are a huge sign for a lot of people. Like a lot,
Hmm.
no matter where they're from or their
Yeah.
background, right? People resonate with
Yes.
feathers.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. They come from heaven.
yeah,
Messages from heaven.
I feel they're a good sign. Yeah. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people agree with that. Yeah. Um, I'm going to, Coins is another one.
Coins. Finding
Yeah.
coins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know how, some people like, they'll like find a penny, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But it
they
has to
feel
be
like,
heads up. You can't pick it up if
oh,
it's tails up. That's all bad luck. You got to pick it up heads
okay.
up.
Well, this is what I'm going to share. So, okay. So we don't have they don't make pennies in Canada anymore. So if we come across a penny
Oh.
now, I'm going to say it's really good luck.
Dimes. Patty's saying dimes. Yeah.
I got a story about dimes.
Becky wants
So,
feathers. Yeah.
this is going years ago. So I had a friend and she was like, every time I find a dime, ship. So we have a ship on one side. There's a sailboat.
Okay.
And then on the other side, it's the Queen's Head. So she
Okay.
says, like, every time I find a dime, especially when it's the ship side up, she says, something good comes to my way. And I'm
Ooh.
like,
Yeah.
interesting. Right? I'm like open
Yeah.
to what people, because everyone, it's personal. Coins, again,
Oh
I
yeah.
feel it's
Yeah.
personal meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So I every time I found a dime, I would pick it up.
Yeah.
And I would pay attention, was it ship side up or not, right? So a lot of times I pick up, it was ship side up.
Okay.
But for me, something bad.
Oh God.
So I would get bad news or something didn't turn out right. And it was
Yeah.
always going to matter within 3 days. Okay.
I
So it
had a
was,
shirt like that.
so you know what? I don't pick up dimes.
Good for you. Yeah. I don't either anymore.
They're
Too
ship
much
side
energy
up.
associated with it. Yeah.
So it's like, ship side up for me. So for her, it was like, okay, good luck shipping in for her.
Yeah.
But for me, it was
Yeah.
like something going
Out.
out of my life. So it's
Right.
like, I don't pick them up.
Makes sense.
Quarters,
Yeah.
on the other hand, is personal to me. If I find a quarter, I pick it up. And for me, it means to find the magic in my life that day. What's magical?
Yeah. Oh,
Because usually I find when I come across a quarter, like I might be deep in thought, or I might be focused on something that's not pleasant. And like that quarter, I find when it shows up,
yeah.
it's about looking for the magic. And it's because the years when I was a child, I was in the hospital, and the doctor that came to visit me every morning, he did magic. And his magic trick he would always do with me is the quarter. So he would like show me the quarter in his
Oh,
hand.
yeah.
And then he'd go and
Yeah.
pull it from my ear, and then he'd be like, open up your hand. And he'd put it in my hand and he'd let me keep it. And I
Ah,
was
you're getting
5,
rich
and
off
for
the
me,
tricks.
and it was like, whoa, I've got a quarter. So
That's pretty
that's
good.
how I came to the conclusion of like the magic, because of the magician, the
Yeah.
doctor doing the magic trick with the quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. The penny here is the lowest denomination coin you can have. It's a little copper penny,
Yeah.
and
Well,
they're
we had that
everywhere.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had that too.
Becky was saying, "What's a penny?"
I think she was being
But they're stupid.
sarcastic.
They need to go away. They need to go away because they just take up room and mess, and
Yeah.
who's collecting pennies? Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, in a way, it's a pain in the butt, because when you go
Right.
shopping, like they still do things like 9.99 or 9.98. So
Yeah.
when total comes to like 12.02 or 12.03, like they either round it up or
Yeah.
down.
They're starting to do that here in the US now. I've noticed that. They're
So,
starting to, yeah.
but
They're starting
anyway,
to do it to the nearest dollar here, even.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's all
So
right. Yeah.
Becky, I think, is being sarcastic.
She's
She's
being
showing it
funny.
funny. Yeah, she's being funny. She's being
Thank you.
funny.
Thank you so much, Becky.
Yeah. Signs, the other thing too I want to say with
Yes.
signs is I find sometimes they relate to like the
There's my brother
superstition.
Bob. Penny for your thoughts. My
Yes,
brother
see?
Bob is watching. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
There is
that's
that
nice.
penny for your
Welcome.
thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe that's where they got that prayer ritual to pay, for penny for your thoughts. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I find signs can relate to a superstition at times,
Yes.
right? So,
Right. I believe so.
and
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to look to
Yeah.
what else. Oh,
Have you ever seen the movie Signs with Mel Gibson and Joaquin
yes,
Phoenix?
yes.
Oh my God, one of my faves, right? I love that movie because everything had a purpose, everything all
Yes,
the way to the end when
yes,
he's swinging away, they never paid any attention to all of these things going on
yes,
around him until then.
yes, yes, yes. Especially like, yeah, I love that part when, yes, because the mom was like saying things, and it was like they didn't make sense at the time until
Yes,
the
she was
fact.
pinched.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
yeah.
was dying. Yeah.
And then I like the part too, the little girl, like with her water, like leaving water, glasses of
Oh
water
my
everywhere.
God, wasn't that great? And he's getting
Yeah,
all mad at her, and she's like, it's contaminated. That's what it is. Because
that's
I used to
right.
say that to Michael all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's contaminated.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's interesting because it's like, you know, does that play into the role of religion? Because like holy water, right? Like holy water
Yeah.
having healing properties, holy water getting rid
Yeah.
of the bad, right? And that's what that,
Well,
it
yeah.
wasn't holy water, but you know what I mean? Like,
No, I do. Yeah, and he struggled with religion. Remember, he was a pastor or something,
yeah,
and he gave it up because she died, and everything he had done that was good just went to shit because his wife was so
yeah,
good.
yeah,
And so he had lost his faith. And so, oh, I loved it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I almost always want to share a story like, um, I'm trying to remember here. I don't know if I want to.
No? Was it about
Yeah.
signs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Well,
sign.
is it an inspirational story? Because you can see signs and then have this epiphany come to you, that maybe you weren't seeing before. Signs can
Right.
mean anything. Yeah. Yeah. And they're everywhere. And you tend to ignore them. There's some days where it does get your attention. These signs are in your face so strong you can't ignore them.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you just kind of, yeah, disconnect from that. Yeah. But there's always saying something. The angels are always trying to get through. They're always trying to. They can get through the radio. They are energy.
Yeah.
So they can get through energy easy enough to manipulate it. Certain songs, we've been hearing Stevie Nicks. Every day I hear Stevie Nicks on the radio since you and I brought her up. You know?
Yeah.
And there's a sign there, something with Stevie Nicks, right? It's just in my face with her. So I
Yeah.
don't know. There's something to
Yeah.
signs
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
even like one of my
Oh,
friends, it
there's
was funny.
Arlene. Hi, Arlene.
One of my friends, she was saying, what's all of a sudden everyone like all this music from Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac all of a sudden, right?
Right?
Like all this,
See?
and so she was noticing the sign of that too, right? So I thought,
See?
yeah,
It's
it's interesting.
everywhere.
Yeah, like you get confirmation, yeah, of your
Yeah.
sign. Confirmation.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that.
I
I
do
was
too.
gonna
I
say
love
too,
confirmation.
so this week I'm babysitting one of my friend's cats.
Yeah.
And so I'm hanging, I'm not there right now, but I'm hanging out, going to be going there. But anyway, so last night I was hanging out with Paisley, and it's like, okay, I don't have cable, and it's like they do. So it's like, I'm going to put the TV on, see what's on. And
Yeah.
Practical Magic, that movie. Because remember how we were talking about it last week?
Yes. My favorite. My sister and I were those two girls. Oh my God. Yes.
So I was like, I gotta
Yes.
watch it. So I thought that was
Yes.
neat how we
Yes.
we're
Sandra Bullock
talking
and the
about it.
yeah.
And I know it's probably the week of all these Halloween movies, and Practical Magic is like a Halloween movie. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What
Let's
is what
see.
is Patty saying here?
She is
My late
saying,
husband visits me
mm,
often. Turn on a little lamp. Right, they do. They visit as much as they can. They give you all these signs that they're there too. Don't ignore those signs. Don't think that's your mind. That's not your mind. That
yeah,
is them. Yeah.
no, no. And sometimes it can be personal. Like, okay, I'm going to share this one about my dad, and this involves
Okay.
my brother. So, um, my brother um, was having, this is, I don't know, a year, I think, after my dad passed away. So this is years ago, because this is over 8 years ago. So, anyways, my brother was having a little bit of a bug issue where he was living,
Yeah.
and in some of his kitchen cupboards there was big gaps. It's like whoever installed the cupboards, they didn't flush them, or they didn't, let's say, seal in the gaps. So it's like
Yeah.
you could see like behind the cupboard, like, and there would be drywall. So there was a gap right
Okay.
between. So anyway, so my
Yes.
brother was like, I wonder if that's how the bugs are coming in,
Yeah.
until he could get it properly dressed. So we decided, I was helping him this day with duct tape, okay, because it's just something
Okay.
temporary.
Universal. Yeah.
He didn't want to, like, let's say, fix it like a carpenter and then it all has to be torn off, right? It's like with
Right.
duct tape, it's easy to come off if you need to. So
Yeah.
anyway, so there was a lot. We had to do a lot. So we decide to take a break and we go outside and then we come back in. And my brother, he had left the roll of duct tape on the floor, like in front of where we left off. So when we
Yeah.
get back there, my brother's like, "Where's the duct tape?" And it's like, "I thought you left it on the floor here." And it's like, "I did too." So we're looking everywhere in the kitchen because it's like, did we pick it up and, set it down
Yeah.
somewhere else?
Yeah.
So anyways, in
No.
his home, so it's like his kitchen has like two ways to get in. Like there's
Yeah.
two, like in and then another place. So it's like almost like a cul-de-sac, I guess. I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyways, so he's like, "You go that way and I go this way and we'll meet." Because maybe we
Okay.
put it somewhere like in the living room or something. So we do
Okay.
that. And when we meet, it's like no duct tape. And when we meet, the duct tape was there on the floor in front of us.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
my brother right away, he's like, Dad.
That's cool.
And I'm like, yeah. And my brother's like, what the hell? How did he do that? And like, my dad was a carpenter. So
Wow.
so for me, it was like anytime my dad trying to get my attention, he does something carpentry. You see what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah,
because
of
I find like
course.
duct tape is like a carpenter thing. And
Yeah.
we were doing
Yeah.
something carpentry. So it
Yeah.
was like, okay, what's the message? He wants us to stick together. Like he wants us
Yeah.
to.
Work together. Yeah.
Another time, this was like a week after my dad passed away. Like this was quick. So the
Yeah.
place I was living in, I go into the kitchen and there is a screw in the middle of the kitchen floor. And a big one. And I'm like, what the heck? Where did this screw come from?
Yeah.
And it's not like I wasn't doing anything because, the week before, it's like I was at the hospital because my dad was dying. I
Yeah.
didn't have no tools. I wasn't fixing nothing, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
wow, this screw, what's it? And in the middle of the kitchen
Yeah.
floor, like it didn't come off of anything. Nothing was
Yeah. That's
around it.
odd.
So I
Yeah.
picked it up and I said, Dad, is this a sign from you? Because that's the first thing. And I said, am I going to get
Yeah.
screwed? And I don't go,
That's what I was thinking.
don't go with, the dirty route.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like someone's going to take advantage of me or
Yeah.
something bad
Right.
can happen. And I'm like, am I going to that's what I thought. So I go into the living room and there's a nail in my
How?
path. And it's like, where did this nail come from? Like
Wow.
I no tools out. I wasn't fixing anything.
Yeah.
It didn't fall up and I'm like, okay. And I said, Dad, this is from you. Cause it's like, I hit the nail on the head. Like I got it right. Like something. And,
Yeah.
and it was like a couple of days later, my landlord wanted me to move out by
Oh my God.
the end of this month. Like it was like they
Wow.
weren't following the rules. Like they wanted me out sooner than they were allowed to give me. They have to give me
Yeah.
so much notice and they didn't want to do that. They just wanted me out.
You were going to get
Like
screwed.
and not
Yeah.
getting screwed because it's like, well, what I have to find, my dad just died, like I have to now pack everything
No.
and find a place and deal with his funeral and
Yeah.
it was
That's the way
so
it always
anyways,
is. I hate that. Yeah.
that's fine where
Yeah.
you sometimes it comes easily and it can be
Yeah.
personal. Like I knew it was my dad because it was carpentry stuff. And from that time, because that was so soon after he
Yeah.
passed, it's like I knew it's like, okay, anytime I'm going to hear from my dad, it's going to be carpentry
Yeah.
related. That's how he gets my attention.
Yeah. Arlene is saying pictures that someone is showing up in a picture there. And that's really true for me too. I see orbs in pictures over my brother Ron, and every picture he has, there's an orb over one of his shoulders. So yeah,
Wow, that's a
yeah,
beautiful song. Oh, I love that, Arlene. Thanks for sharing that.
yes, right,
Oh, I love that.
beautiful.
Yes. Mhm. You know, we've gone over. Usually we try to keep it at an hour, and we're an hour,
Oh,
10 minutes. You know, that
oh,
last bit went by quickly. Yeah,
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 yeah, it did. Right.
yeah,
Well, Halloween is coming. Our big full moon, our intentions, set your intentions and just do some kind of ritual. It doesn't have to be a moon potion, but just put some intention out there. That can never hurt. That's what
yeah,
I say.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I guess, have fun and
Yes,
be
above
safe
all.
that night. Yeah, and don't overindulge, you guys. Just again, be aware. Don't
Yes.
overdo it, because I just feel
Yeah.
like, especially ingesting more. Like I know you can overdo it, by getting too rowdy or, with your words, but I feel more it has to do with what we put in our mouth. So
Yes.
food, alcohol, if you're going to
Yeah.
do, your
It's
idea of fun that
important.
night is the drug, yeah, just try not to overdo it. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? You just reminded me to talk about this too. The moon is always amplifying emotion too. So be careful, be mindful of that because everything is amplified on the full moon, regardless of that it's Halloween, which is going to be even more amplified. So if you're feeling overwhelmed emotionally, just take a deep breath. That is the energy of the full moon and Samhain and the thin veil and all of that with it. So just be mindful of that. You may be a little over emotional. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I guess, I had fun and
I
got to
had
share.
fun. And thank you so much to Becky and Patty and Arlene and Bob and
Yeah.
Vicky and everyone watching. That's so fun for me. I love
Yeah.
that.
And sharing. Like, I love it when you guys join the conversation,
Yes.
I know it's in the chat room. It's a little bit harder than being live like Julie and I, but we appreciate and love hearing what you all have to share.
Yes.
It's all wonderful. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it's all about. Oh, Blue Moon too. Yes, Patty just reminded me.
Oh,
It's a
yes,
Blue
because
Moon too. Yes.
it's the second
So
full moon
definitely
this
going to
month.
be over emotional. Yeah. But love
Yeah.
and blessings on the Blue Moon. That's what the Blue Moon's all about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know we are changing our time that night. We go back 1 hour.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys
Yeah.
do.
We
You
don't.
don't.
No, we stay
So I
the
think
same
we'll
in
be on
Arizona.
the we don't have to figure out like our time difference, you
I
and
know.
I.
I'm so glad. I'm so
I
happy
think it's
about this.
hard, as if it's so hard.
Yeah, but we have to schedule these things. We're old now. We have to plan these things.
I know, yeah. Well, so
So
thank
fun.
you. Thank you everyone
Thank
for
you.
being here. Yeah, so I'm just got few announcements there. If you want, you can, follow, like, and subscribe to Enlightened Energy,
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Julie, she does readings. She loves the tarot cards. So if you'd like to schedule a reading, there's Julie's email. And she's in Arizona, if anyone's wondering. And if you want to schedule a reading with me, there's my email. Yeah, there
Yes.
you go.
New year coming, 2021 coming. Let's get out of the
Yeah,
cycle and into the
yeah.
new. Yes.
So we're going to be back next Monday, right? On the 2nd. And it's going
Yes.
to be, I don't want to give
Big day.
anything too much away, but it's going to
Right.
be a huge show, you guys.
It is going to
And
be big. Yeah.
yeah, so please be there. And one of the things too, we're going to, I think we want to start it off with a bit of like fun, right? Something like
Yes.
it'll
For
be
sure.
celebrating fun.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
we're gonna change over to, we want to talk about the upcoming election in the States. And Julie and I are
Yes.
going to share what we pick up energetically, or like using our psychic tools,
Yes.
what we
And
feel
Tina
is
is
gonna.
being gracious because it is her birthday next Monday. Oh, you don't
What,
want me to say that?
Julie?
Why
No,
not?
I don't
Why not?
know. Oh, okay, you did.
Oh,
It's
don't
too
be
late.
silly.
So sad.
Too
Too late.
late.
Too late. Yeah.
Let
I know
them
I'm
think
usually
about you
quiet
for a
about
week.
yeah. Well, we'll add that at the beginning of the show. The cat's out of the bag.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Why do you
not
trust
mad.
me with secrets?
No,
Big
it's all good.
mistake.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, maybe it's good. Like it's a good way for me to be, right? Like, because I
You know
never
what?
make a
Yes,
big
because
deal
you
of my
don't,
birthday.
you don't. You're trying to
No.
keep it under the rug and it doesn't belong there. It belongs out for everyone to be wishing you well for the next year.
Okay. All right. I'll go that way. I will.
Thank
I
you.
will. I'll allow.
Good.
I'll receive. Receive. Okay.
I will allow it.
All right, everyone. So yeah, I guess that's it. We'll close the show. And again, thank you everyone. If it'll be reposted if you missed it from the beginning or like to rewatch it. Not on the Facebook page, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel later on. Okay. Well, thanks,
Yes.
Julie.
Thank you, Tina.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Bye.